or afternoon, as I see Lee sharing in the chat. It is Monday, and it is time for Domain to Profits, where we look through this week's domain names, the real estate of the internet, and we figure out businesses that we can place on those domain names. Businesses that can create some passive income, maybe give us the wealth or the riches that we want or desire in our lives. Whatever it is, maybe just a hobby. You can find a domain name that's a hobby. And what's one way to look at that is customer journey. Believe it or not, I believe, realistically, doesn't matter what I believe, but my experience tells me that a great domain name developed can be better than Google. So you can be better than Google. And you may be out there right now and you might be thinking, okay, Drew, you say some pretty crazy stuff. I find you hilarious. Me too. And but realistically, the idea that one person or a small group or one domain name developed can be better than Google, well, you're just talking nonsense, talking craziness. And maybe that's true. I am a little crazy. Hope you're a little crazy too. I mean, you are, after all, you're talking about domain names into businesses. I mean, most people are like, oh, to have a business, we need to have some crazy idea. And we're like, no. All you need is a great domain name. That's what you need to start your business. Well, how can we take on Google? Well, one of the things I hear most frequently from people when I tell them, like, I developed domain names. We have like towing.com, and you can find a towing company on that domain. And they almost always say, can't I just find them on Google? It's like, well, here we go. What? Yeah. Yes, you can find towing companies on Google. You can find anything you want on Google, but you ever think about, like, where does Google get that information from? Where does Google get the information from? Where do they get the data? Where do they get the towing companies that they show? Well, they get them from guys like me. And, not a big fan of the fact that Google makes so much more money off of our data than we do. But hey, it's like a symbiotic relationship where, they give me a little bit of traffic. They give me, we generate quite a bit of traffic from Google. And in turn, I give them my data, or I guess they take it. They take the data. Anyhow, no matter how you feel about that, realistically, what we need to do with any business is not just like bow down to Big Brother Google. We need to instead figure out how we can be better than them, how we can provide something that they can't or that they won't. Yeah, Google can do anything, but maybe they won't. Well, you know what they can't do is they can't take over your domain name. That's one nice thing, is they will never be your .com. They will never be your domain name. Even if they take all of your information or whatnot, you can still have that valuable real estate, assuming you watch Domain to Profit, see how great domains can be, and then develop your own project for your own passive income, for your own wealth. Well, this Domain to Profit, we're going to get diving into the customer journey and how you can be better than Google. And we're going to be looking through domain names, looking through expired domains, finding great opportunities that are available this week. Fingers crossed, hopefully great opportunities. So if you haven't already, make sure you say hi in the chat. I already have been chatting out there with Ian and Michael, but I see Lee as well and Dominic. Say hi in the chat. Let me know what you're up to, where you're from, because the community in the chat is always one of the best parts of this show, is that it's us, domain developers, like-minded, all getting together right here at Domain to Profit. See you on the other side of this.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Walsh and get started right now.
All righty. Well, we're going to have some great stuff today. I know it. I can feel it in my bones. I'm here in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the United States, right in the middle of the country, and it is rainy and nasty outside. I feel like it's darker earlier, and like every single day. And anyhow, I hate darkness. I want some light, so let's bring our own light up in here. Let's see here. As I mentioned, we got Michael always in there commenting first, winning that first place award. Ian, nice to have you with us. Thanks for joining me again. Wait, that's Restream. Let's go with this one. Evening and morning and afternoon all, because yes, somehow, which I love, our little community here is very much global, from all over the place we come from. Dominic here. Thanks for joining us. How's it going? Hope it's good. Your neck of the woods. Fred, nice to have you back. And let's find some domains and profit. Indeed, that is what we're out to do. And hold my heels to the fire, I think they say. Like, let's make sure we do that. Like, challenge. Let's get this. We can do this together. Edward, howdy. Knight from Monterey. So I assume Monterey, I guess that could be any number of things. I think of Monterey, Mexico. I don't know if that's where you are or not, but it's what comes to mind. But I know there's others as well. So regardless of where you may be, thanks for joining me. Well, I have always an ambitious goal here on Mondays. Some Mondays we knock it out of the park, other Mondays maybe not. And that goal is to use domain names, talk about how we can develop them to truly change your life, to provide a way that you can generate some kind of revenue and income. So maybe you don't have to concentrate or have all the fears and anxieties that you may have over your finances if you live that whole paycheck to paycheck thing. Or maybe you just want to be able to, lay on the beach and kind of get paid. You can do that, believe it or not. Like me and my buddies back in college when we were first running our first web businesses, and we're talking quite a while back, we would we would throw big keg parties. Maybe not big keg parties, but we were at Ohio State University, which is known as a party school, and we'd grab a couple kegs and throw a big party. And while everybody was down outside on the deck and in our living room and completely destroying our place, we would often be upstairs in our bedroom watching the computer, because while we're sitting there throwing a party, our websites were making money at the same time. And it was such an exciting feeling, that idea that while we're doing something else, while you're laying on the beach, while you're sleeping, while you're partying or throwing some crazy college keg party, you can make money at the same time. Like, have you ever had that experience? Have you developed something as of this point that made money while you were sleeping? And yeah, there's NFTs and some things that you may have that may do that, but something that you created. It wasn't there before, you created it, and now it generates some form of revenue. What a huge life-changing moment that is when you first make that revenue, when you first get paid. And it's like, I think it was like $13. It was probably like $13 that first time when I had that website that somebody decided to click a purchase thing, enter a credit card number, and next thing you know, $13 was in my account while I was doing nothing else. Like, I was not actively involved, which I was selling computers back then at an office store, Office Max. I don't even think they exist anymore, but I was selling computers. So I was around computers all the time, and I traded my time. I traded an hour of my time for 1 hour of wages. And that's pretty much, I was doing exactly what most people do, especially back in college, trading an hour of time for some form of revenue. And, then I got an IT job, and I started to trade kind of salaried position. So I was given a chunk of my time for a chunk of salary. And then finally, while I was at that salary position is when I started to really get into generating a passive income. So it would turn out that I would sell stuff. I would be working for my employer, but at the same time hearing ding, 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 and making revenue. So I want that for you. I want that for each of us. Now, there is work involved in it, but there's also grabbing that opportunity, which are domain names. Domain names are our opportunities. So we are going to look at domain names, and then we're going to talk about them in a way that we've not talked about them before, which is the customer journey. And that's simply put, each of us, when we run into some kind of problem, we need to go from having a problem to the problem being erased, right? Problem, solution, and each customer goes through that. We go through it numerous days. Oh, I'm hungry. What am I going to eat? And you figure out some food and you solve your problem. It's the customer journey. Now, Google right now is the giant company that gives people what they want when they search for it, right? You need some information, boom, Google. Boom, I need a towing company. They go to Google. Need any different service, they go to Google. And a lot of people think that what they see on Google is enough and that there's no reason to ever create something that can compete with Google. Or maybe you don't think you can. Maybe you don't think you have a way to do that. Maybe you think the opportunity's gone. I hear some people say that search engine optimization is dead, or that domain names can't draw the traffic, or I'm trying to make up some nonsense on that, because I think hopefully if you've been here on a weekly basis, domain names matter. But yeah, there's plenty of people out there like, the domain name doesn't matter, or search engine optimization won't generate any traffic, or any number of things where they just want to lay down their weapon and say, Google wins. Just go Google it. Just go Google it. We don't even need domain names. We have all-powerful Google. I'm not a big fan of Google. I'm not a big fan of Google. I use Google, but I think that we can do better. We can do better as entrepreneurs. We can provide better solutions than Google. We can do better as far as consumers. We can find better solutions for getting data or getting the information we need, or finding the local services. We can do things that support those local companies better than what Google can do. And we can just all around do better. So that's what we're going to be talking about doing, using domain names, customer journey, helping them get from here to there so we can get from poor to broke, or broke to some money. I don't know. I think it works. So where do we need to start? Well, we need to start in the customer journey, customer going from here to there. We need to start by being able to solve some basic problem. And to talk about our problem, we're going to dive into the domain names. So we're going to start looking through domain names. We're going to find domain names. We're going to talk about what problem that domain name may be able to solve. And then we'll talk about a solution that could be built on the domain name to make some money, to solve the customer's problem and to make some money. And all of these domain names, I don't say this enough, all the domain names that we will be showing here are available to you at auction. If you're willing to pay the most for it, when it comes up for auction, you win. So find something you are passionate about, and we'll help you set some budgets and things like that as we get going. So that is one of the things I want to try to do for you as well, is just, hey, what's a good price for some of these? I'll give you some ballparks for a developer. So we are on expireddomains.net. Expireddomains.net is a free resource that we use each week. I don't own it or anything like that, but it's a great resource to help you find and look through hundreds of thousands of expired domain names. And we're going to go through here. We're going to set up some filters really quick. You can slow down the video later on. I'm going to tell you what they are. Getting rid of numbers, getting rid of hyphens. We're going with English words, 1 to 3 words. We are only looking at auctions in the next 7 days. Then we're going over here to get the .com. And I ran through all of those filters really quickly. That's going to take us from close to 500,000, 500,000 domain names, down to, what do we got here? What do we got? Well, give us a count. Give us a count. We're down under 100,000 domain names. So 90,000, of which we're going to look through about 400 to 600 domain names on the show. But as you can see, there's a lot of them here. Those filters, we talk about them more in other weeks. They just help you find the highest quality domain names, the ones that give you the best shot at things. So they are ordered by valuation. This valuation is provided by GoDaddy. We are looking through GoDaddy domain names currently, the ones that are on GoDaddy. The current owner let it expire, and we're ordering by that just because it helps us bring some of the quality to the top. But that number is it's essentially a fictional number. It's just a made-up number. So it's good for sorting, but not really good for trying to actually give you the value of a domain name. So we are going to start. We'll just hop on down here. Once we find one that is a good match for a domain to development, domain to profit option, we will go with it. If you see one, as always, toss it into the chat, unless you want to hide it from us, because I know these are auctions, and I know many of you have them on your radar, so you hope that I skip it over. I typically be right up front with the ones that we're looking at. In fact, I ended up buying, I got scrumboard.com. I mentioned that last week, scrumboard.com. The more I looked into it, the more I thought about some of the needs of my business. I was like, we're always talking about implementing Scrum better and this and that. It's like, so if we're going to solve all these problems for ourselves, why not possibly put them out there on scrumboard.com? And here's our one opportunity to get that domain name. So we ended up grabbing that. I think $1,700, I think is what we paid for it. Somebody'd have to check on that. So marketing payment, as you'll see, a lot of times what you'll see when you're looking through domain names are domains that look good. But what we try to talk about on a weekly basis is, well, how do you know? How do you know if it's a good domain name? Marketing payment, those are two great words. And you might think, oh, that's a great domain name because two great words going together. Marketing.com, payment.com, both of them easily $1 million plus domain. So maybe if you put them together, it's worth a couple. No, it's not worth anything. Marketing payment, I don't even know what that means. It does not have a purpose or a something you search for. So if you're kind of new to the domain game, domain investing, domain development, don't fall. That's one of the traps you need to avoid, is just because two words, like each of them sound great on their own, putting them together, it still has to make sense. And I'll show you here in a little bit how we can test that, how we can test whether the words work together. And we'll do that by searching the keywords out in Spyfu. But we're going to do it hands-on as we look to these domains. Hey, right now the phrase meta is big. So as far as investment goes, that might be, I'm guessing that one's going to draw some traffic. I'm just going to click on it mostly to show you this next screen, which is the auction details. When you click on them, which you should, when you click on those domain names, one, it supports expireddomains.net, but then it will take you to the information page where you will actually bid. This domain name has 2 days left, metasync.com, and I figured it would be expensive. So as you can see right here, all things, the word meta seem to be just like people are losing their mind, spending a bunch of money. I was just showing you this here, not so much that it has any, I have no idea what you would, actually metasync, that would be something you would do. So it has a practical search. Just how do we develop it? It's not going to give us a customer journey, so I'm going to skip over it. Unless there's like a big uproar in the chat and you guys are like, oh, we have to talk about meta syncing. No, didn't think so. Free me now. Again, stream viral, like what, it just, some of these just don't, a lot of these don't make sense. City companies, beast engines. I mean, that's actually a reasonable, that could be a brand. So maybe on the investment front, if you buy the domains to sell them to people that are starting business or something, that one might be good for that. Ooh, Survey Desk. I like that one. I mean, it's better than Survey Monkey, right? I don't know. Is it better than Survey Monkey? I think it probably is. So surveydesk.com. Okay, let's get things started. Here's what we're going with. So surveydesk.com is the domain name. It does fall onto the brandable side of things. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if there is actually something called a survey desk. Probably not, actually. Let's go check. We'll check that out here. This is 3 days left on the auction. It's currently $12 plus the registration fee to participate in the auction. I don't think it has any bids, right? Does it have any bids? Has one bid so far. I imagine this one, I would put the price at $200 or less, unless you're big into surveys already. In that case, you can get carried away. If this is the perfect domain name for something you're looking at, then maybe do it. So I am over here on Spyfu. Spyfu is a tool. We use the free account. They do have a paid version. They're not a sponsor or anything. I'm just mentioning it because it's a free product that can help you find and sort out good domains. And what I'm just going to do is, oh, look at that, starting to type survey in SurveyMonkey. I was just saying something about them. Let's see if Survey Desk is a real thing. So when we type in, we take a domain name, the domain name that we're searching for. In this case, we're looking at Survey Desk. And you just break those words up, turn it into separate keywords, Survey Desk, and we just toss them into Spyfu. So what that's going to show us is it's going to show us content and searches that are happening around Survey Desk, which, as you can see, there's really not much happening here. 24 searches, though. I mean, there are people that type in Survey Desk. Why? Well, let's see if we can kind of look at the data and get an idea of why people are typing Survey Desk. Front desk survey questions, survey service desk, survey. So weird stuff. So survey service desk seems to be more of a common phrase, but not much. These are still really low numbers. Let's look over at some of the questions. Now, what we're trying to identify is if this is a thing, which it does not appear to be something we want to pursue. We're looking for problems that identify with this keyword. So over here, the questions a lot of times will do that. So what do you call a survey at the front desk of a business? How to say thank you on a survey? Like, none of these are really good for our keywords. Basically, I chose a first domain name here that is not going to be a good start to things. So we'll go back out to expireddomains.net. So maybe an investable domain name, maybe something that if you're dealing in surveys and you like forms, maybe worth looking at. But we're going to keep on moving on. Not going to be able to talk about the customer journey with that one necessarily. Cat trackers. That sounds like fun. My cat is currently swinging from my ceiling fan. How's that happening, sir? Well, I put a toy up there and it was spinning around. He jumped up and grabbed it. Anybody else out there do that? So I'm not allowed to have cats because my wife's allergic to them. But my favorite thing about having a cat is trying to get it to do stupid stuff. Jump for the toy from the ceiling fan. That sounds like a good idea. Now, of course, a cat will torture you back, and get all up in your space. Okay, cat people or dog people? What are you? Okay, we're on page 2, so we've already jumped through 200 domain names. Not finding much yet. So you may be seeing some of these and you might be thinking, okay, they're appraised at a really high price, or maybe even people are paying thousands of dollars for them. Drew, why aren't you talking about those? In many cases, people are buying them for investment purposes or for their specific purpose. We want to find domain names that give us our idea. They give us everything we need. Boom, we buy it, and we just are ready to develop the domain name. Something like towing.com, which I can use as an example if we don't find anything good. And if you see something that I am missing, feel free to toss it up into the chat, and hopefully I would spot it as well. Party locator. Okay, domain world. Hey, in NFT swap, I'll mark that. I don't really know what to do with that other than that sounds like a good keyword. Again, let me not just keep it internal. Let me talk about it. I see that swap NFT. Man, this one might run under the radar for somebody. So I'm guessing by just talking about this domain name, it instantly is going to be worth thousands. But swap NFT, NFTs are digital assets. Won't talk about what they are. It's outside of the scope of this. But if you want to swap, just think of it as a file, right? We need to switch files. We need to swap things. Well, this would be something that would be a service to swap digital assets that are on the blockchain. If you can create that solution, if you can create that that software to allow that to happen, then Swap NFT could be a great brand for you. Ends in 6 days. $55 is the current bid. I'm definitely just going to hit a bid just real quick for the sake of that. Of course, I've been outbid. So Swap NFT. So what I want to do now is let's hop over to the 3-minute setup because I'm going to talk this one through. And here is the 3-minute business plan. It is a little bit of the customer journey in that we talk about the domain name, the market, the problem, and the solution. So when I talk about a customer journey, it's already been part of our 3-minute business plan. What's the problem they're having, and how is our domain name going to be a path to them getting their solution? Make sense? Simple enough. That is the customer journey. That's all there is to it. Now, the key thing is, can we do it better than Google? I believe so. I believe we can certainly provide something better than Google. So, for example, Swap NFT, this one is going to be a little bit different. This is going to require the specialized training in blockchain type things. In most cases, the problem is people have digital assets, digital NFTs. Think of them as images or something on the web, but they're saved in the blockchain, not to get too blockchainish or crypto-ish. Well, if you want to take those assets and trade them with somebody else, well, you're going to need to essentially do some kind of escrow where I want to trade these for these. Well, you put yours in the swap, then the other person puts theirs in the swap, and now you both verify you have what you want, and you both click complete swap, and it comes out. Share the gas or money, or transfer the digital assets. It happens rather frequently in NFTs already. People swap NFTs, but I mean, come on, swapnft.com. Let's go out to Spyfu, and let's see if Drew can verify his. Okay, well, maybe Drew's full of crap. Swap NFT is actually not really getting much in the way of traffic, which I have trouble believing that. Why is that? I'm confused as to why that would not be a keyword. I think that's something I've even typed in. Let's go to another tool, one that we don't talk about very often, but that is trends.google.com. What this will do is show you what people are searching for on Google. They don't give out the specific numbers with this tool, so they don't tell you all 25,000 people search for something. But what you can see is if people are starting to search for it, or if there's an increase. Really not much happening here. Oh yeah. Well, this is why we need tools, is to help us get an idea of okay, you can start to see it taking off, but to put this in context, that those numbers are really probably going to be on the small side. There's not much happening here. So Swap NFT, see here, yeah, bummer. I thought we had something super special there, but nonetheless, you do need to swap. Some people need to swap NFTs. This would be a great domain to do it. The problem is you need to swap them. You need to do it in a way that you're making sure you're not getting taken care of, that will handle that transaction for you in a secure way. And Swap NFT can provide that service. That domain name, currently under $100 over on GoDaddy Auctions, certainly worth looking at if you can create that solution. And if you do it, you just take a little fraction of the transaction, maybe. Or maybe you charge a fee to be a member of it or something like that. I love those reoccurring options, although reoccurring with crypto is not really a thing yet. So, well, there we go. We'll move on to another domain name. I do like Swap NFT. As I mentioned, I've already put a bid on it, but not really happening much right now. So let me see. John Walker adding in NFT swap sounds better. NFT swap an NFT. I don't know. I mean, both seem like they're pretty good. I'm sure it must be NFT swap must be better. I mean, you're 100% right is what it comes down to. And then Dominic adding in would be good for buying and selling site for NFTs. Yes. Yeah. I mean, as of some point, this is going to be a thing, right? It's going to be more than just a couple sites that do it. There's going to be tools that allow you to add ways to do it on your own website. So maybe it's just a little early. It is early. It's early. It's what they say. I think that's what they say in NFTs. It's early. Eventually, you can be able to develop that domain name somewhat easily. And as far as I'm concerned, only buy it if you're going to develop it. Don't buy it to resell it. This show is for developers. Or at least get it in the hands of a developer. And by developer, it's not for, you don't have to be a programmer. By that, I mean, build a business. Build a business on the domain name. The world has plenty of domain names just sitting idle on the sidelines. What it doesn't have is enough people taking great domain names and turning them into businesses, providing customers and visitors a way to do exactly what it is they want to do. Whether it's find a towing company, boom, go to towing.com, find the companies closest to you. You go to Google, you're just going to find whoever Google wants to show you, not necessarily the one closest to you. Or swap NFT, what do you want to do on that domain name? Oh, well, the domain name says swap NFT, so maybe that's what they do there, swap NFT. Local antiques? Let's check that domain name out. Anybody go in antiquing? Antiquing? Oh, yeah, I like that. If that one was available, I do like that one. NFT Trader, I like that. John, that's certainly a good one. If that one was in that inventory. Localantiques.com. And I'm just going to grab that keyword, go over to Spyfu, drop that into Spyfu. And we have 55 searches per month on that domain name or for that keyword. Local antique. So here's how we use these middle ones. There's 307 similar keywords. So local antique, appraisers near me. So now we know if we owned localantiques.com, we can have a section for appraisers, right? That should be content you should have on Local Antiques is local antique appraisers. Because we know that because we see this right here. So as far as domain names go, you might think, okay, well, following that formula, Drew, wouldn't I be better off to own localantiqueappraisersnearme.com? And the answer is no, probably not. No, it just because the keyword, you want to max out at about 2 keywords ideally. One is perfect. If you can get antiques.com, that's going to be super expensive domain name, great domain name that you can show local antique and appraisers and antiques on and all kinds of things. Of course, that's going to be a very expensive domain name. Local Antiques is what we have to work with right here. If you go out to GoDaddy or any number of different registrars, you start typing in domains, you're not going to be able to find a domain name similar to localantiques.com. They're all going to be taken. But now you have an opportunity at localantiques.com. On that, you can provide a directory of appraisers. Look at this, 1,100 searches for appraisers near me. And you have a great domain name for it. So that's one of the ways that we might, one problem we might be solving with the domain name, local antique appraisers. Again, so now we're looking at a couple thousand searches each month for a keyword that our domain name is well positioned to be active in. I love that. That's what we love to see. Just because this number is small doesn't mean a whole lot. These matter just as much. Let's keep going. Local antique stores. Yes. you can absolutely provide with localantiques.com, a directory of antique stores. Like this is what we're going for. This is about perfect. So customer journey, visitors here, and they're like, hey, I want to go antiquing. Maybe they're trying to impress a girl or something. And they're like, oh, let's go antiquing. We'll go look through a bunch of old stuff. And where do we want to go? Well, let's just go out. We'll just Google it. We'll find some place. Well, where's Google going to get that information? Well, if you run localantiques.com, hopefully they show you up high enough. But if nothing else, Google can steal your data and show your members, your customers that have registered with localantiques.com. Google will show their data, but hopefully you can do better. Hopefully you can do better. Hopefully when somebody clicks on you, they go, oh, this is so much better than what Google is trying to show me. So what can you do? What's the customer journey? The person's coming in, they're looking for an antique store, and they want to find one. So what we maybe can do is we can show the distance between them and all the antique stores, which you think, oh, Google shows a map. Well, they do, except for they show in that little pack, the map pack. Let me do a search for this actually. Antique. And let me share out my screen. And we're just going right into Google doing this. I spelled local wrong. So this is local antiques. I did a search into Google, and we have this pack here. And you might be thinking, oh, well, Google's showing you some useful data right here in this local pack. And the thing is who knows where these are compared to where I am. What may be most important to me is where they're like the map's important. How far am I from these different solutions to me? So if you provide a list that is organized by distance from the person searching, you may very well be beating Google. You may be providing something more than what Google does. How about what's something else that searcher may want? If somebody searches for local antiques, they find your website, what can you do that Google doesn't do? Well, you can go the route of mentioning appraisers. Do you have antiques that need to be appraised? You can offer that solution from one site as well. But realistically, in our scenario, I'm a customer trying to impress a girl or something. We're going to go antiquing. I'm just looking for some nice place to go. Maybe you can show them square footage. Maybe you can show them local antique places near you by size of the antique place, the number of vendors, if it's like a mall and numerous people are selling. So now you can start to provide a solution that is specific to the antique market, to where when somebody goes there, it's no longer this list of random things that Google decides to show. It's now helping the customer with their specific thing, finding an antique place that they can go and have plenty to look at and walk around with the girl that they're trying to impress. And voila, all of that can be done on your basic domain by providing things that Google's not here. So something that's close, a measurement of either square footage or number of vendors or shops that may be happening in that space. So that way you can judge whether it's a little mom and pop antique store versus an antique mall or flea market type of thing. You can categorize them, or more specifically, allow your customers that are registering to categorize themselves, to where now I come into the site looking for the antique place, and I come in, I see the ones near me. I'm like, oh, this one's a mall. Oh, what does that mean? That means they have more products. Okay, well, show me the malls that are closest to me. And now I'm able to drill down into that topic based on location, based on my needs, in a way that Google's not going to provide this. Google is connecting me to one specific vendor, right? And it's not helping me on my journey. That's if I knew exactly what I was looking for, maybe. But if I'm just trying to explore, just trying to find something cool to do around antiques, it's certainly not going to allow me to explore. So the first thing with the customer journey is meeting the expectation. I'm searching for it because I'm looking for something. Are you providing that? That's problem number one that you need to solve. Problem is, I'm looking for something. Can I meet that expectation? That's going to be as simple as on your domain name providing a way for stores to register, or maybe you seed the site with listings already and then give them an opportunity to claim them, or whatever you feel is best to provide data for your customers, because you do have to meet a baseline expectation. They come in looking for information, provide that information. But the part that you're going to be able to beat Google on, what's going to allow you to kick Google's ass and really become the top website when it comes to antiques, is going to be when you go beyond being just a directory and you provide something that is specific to that search. So, grouping of antique stores, grouping of antique store types. When you start to form those groups, now it's no longer just all antique places are the same. It is providing your visitor, that person looking for an antique store, they come in and now it's choosing from a menu of, oh, I can do this, or I want to dive into this. That is how you can beat Google. Do a better job of just allowing your visitors, your customers, to provide information that shows that they are different. They're different. Like, just look at this. You ever think about this? Like, how absurd is it that all of the businesses, all of the heart and soul of these antique places get boiled down to what looks exactly like everybody else? It's kind of like, okay, Grand Antique Mall. Are they grand? I don't know. Are they a mall? Probably. It's in their name, hopefully. But how about this one? Every now and then, I can tell you that these two places are significantly different sizes, like square footage and stuff. You can't know that here. You won't know that. What would you base your decision on here? That is the beauty of, if you own an antique website, no longer are you stuck. Don't compete. Many people want to take a domain name and they want to show this content here. And that's all that they ever show. They just want to be Google for a specific topic. And if you do that, yes, you may meet the baseline expectations of a customer, but how are you answering that question of, well, can't I just do that on Google? The answer is yes, and that's all there is. You've not done anything more. You may help those mall places, those antique dealers, but are you actually helping like the world at all? Yeah, you can do better. How? Be specific to antiques. Be specific to the industry that you're building a website for. Categorize by categories. Go out to Spyfu. Make sure you're answering and providing information about the other main topics for that. You can have antique appraisers paying to a small fee to register as an antique appraiser. You can have stores possibly pay to have a profile. Maybe you can get them to pay more to list their featured products or recently added antiques, like photos of them on the site, so you can know that they're there and go in, explore the product before you ever can go to the store. You can do better than Google because you can be specific to that topic, specific to that website, specific to your customers, and in turn helping the visitors to the site get more of what they want, solving their problems. That all makes sense. I know that, like, it makes sense, and it seems like it's, that's pretty simple, Drew. Like, I get it. Like, but isn't it more complicated? It's not. It's not more complicated than that. That's all we're doing. Somebody wants something, we're helping them get it, at least equal to Google, but hopefully better. We want to allow I hang my hat on allowing small businesses to show that they're different. Google wants to make you think that everybody's the damn same. Oh, they boil down to their star rating. Well, that's ridiculous. Could you imagine if we tried to boil people down to star ratings? I rate Lee 4 out of 5 stars, and that's all Lee can ever be. Can't ever change. Can't ever be better in some way. It's kind of like, 4 out of 5 stars doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me that Lee's a developer. He's a father. It doesn't tell you any of the things that may matter to you. When was the last time that you specifically said, uh, does it, let me just ask you this. Does it matter if the place that you're doing business with is a family owned company? Would you like to know that? Like, I know there was a point in time when a lot of people really like to know that they're doing business with a family owned company. There's an entire industry and brand in the United States that's like made in the USA. People look for products that are made in the USA. Maybe it is lots of small businesses do a lot of different things to be unique and to be special in the eye of the people that love what they do, that are as passionate about what they do. And instead of showing that passion to the world, Google boils them down to a star rating and a name. And as a domain developer, we can do so much more than that. We can show how unique each small business is, provide some tools in a way that doesn't boil somebody down to their company name and a star rating to where we're all the same and all just slaves to whether somebody rates and reviews us. Instead, provide a way for images to be shown in a way that Google won't do that. They won't be so accustomed to a specific industry because it just doesn't make sense for them to develop something for each industry. Doesn't make sense because they can't do it at a big level. But for you, you can dive into a specific topic in a way that you can be exclusive to it. We have stuff on towing.com that Google would never in a million years want to add to their stuff. It doesn't make sense for them to add it for other companies because it's just for towing. And we can beat Google for that. That's how I know towing.com is better than Google. So find a towing company on Google, or find a towing company, find towing.com on Google. How about that? There we go. Let's go find some more domain names. That's what I want. Like, we're already a couple pages into this. Usually we get through 400 domains, maybe 600. And this week we've not had. I like local antiques. Anybody else like local antiques? Like, if I had to, like, brand wise and middle of the road, I'd probably put like a neutral face on that. If you can get it for $1,200 or less, that's a pretty darn good domain name for that price range. There's some traffic out there. We saw a couple thousand. Antiques, I don't know how that industry is. I don't know much about it to know. I'd probably put it as a neutral phase, like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 as far as development opportunities. Today it seems to be a 10 because we have so few other domains. But on a normal week, that's like a 6 out of 10. Active counseling. Why does Nature's Highway? That just sounds like a brand name. It even has that middle S, which I always rage against typically, but Nature's Highway. For some reason, that makes me think it's like your digestive tract. It's Nature's Highway. Historic triangle, effective information. Sometimes we just strike out when it comes to domain names. If you have a domain name, how about this? If you're live right now and you have a domain name that you're maybe trying to sell that is one that is a good domain name, feel free to mention in the chat. And since I'm not coming up with a ton of great domains, I can possibly just talk about yours. I don't typically do that. Don't want people to spam their domains typically. Although actually you may have to like space it out so that way the chat bot doesn't block you. But if you can put it in there, go for it. Now, it needs to be something that is perfect for development. And what does that mean? It means there's going to be some exact match keywords or people looking for that kind of service. Have we ever been so... have site features I don't know. Site features. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Is that spelled right? See, this is why you watch his show live. Because if this ends up being a great domain name, literally it's going to end during the course of this show. So sitefeatures.com. This is going to be a little bit more of a geeky domain name, not going to fall in the realm of local service domain. I love local services. I love towing.com, photobooth.com, djs.com, those domain names that there's a local small business and we are just helping the public find them. I love those. I hang my hat on them. I would build them over and over and over again. However, sometimes you just want to hack something together, kind of like with when I got scrumboard.com last week. Site features could be that. So let's see if there's any good keywords. I won't spend a ton of time on this, but site features is something we talk about pretty frequently. What are the features on your site? What do you want to add? Like anything like that. What seem to be the most common features of landing sites, site survey maps. Okay, maybe it's not as good of a domain name as what I expected. No Google data. Okay, you win some, you lose some. Won't spend too much more time on it. I like the domain name. I don't necessarily know why, because the data is saying it's garbage. So for the sake of bidding, I'm going to take this up to $88 just to make sure I can ignore it. And we're moving on. In the chat, John has mentioned campdoctor.com. Not sure if that's on the list. Okay, that one must be one of yours specifically, John. So campdoctor.com, I will say that I have seen, I know that, camping, RVs, things like that are one of the most common things. They're like overwhelmed. They can't get them fast enough because so many more people do all this COVID stuff. We're spending time in campers. So when it comes to Camper Doctor, I know that there are a lot of people that buy and sell their campers. And I think the Camper Doctor sounds mostly like a brand name, something that would be, turned into a franchise. And essentially, camperdoctor.com could be a repair service so you can buy a used trailer, a used camper, and turn it into something freaking pretty good. I don't know. I like it as a brand. If you've never used it, I think there's a company that's like Brand Bucket. I think that's what it's called. Is that somebody maybe that deals more with domain investment? If you're not on there, that one might be a good one for that. Because I do view that one as a bit more of a brand. If I was starting a camper repair business and I wanted to franchise it out to other people and stuff, well, there you go. Now you could always, if there are services, you can create a directory on Camp Doctor and show, independent people that are independent small businesses that repair campers. Well, this is probably the least amount of domain names we've talked about on the show before. And I'm sure I've just missed them. Nobody wants to spend an hour with me for me to miss great domain names, so I'm hoping that's not the case. So what we're looking at, when we look at these domains, you might think, oh, we're getting down the list. There's no quality. Well, you'll find that some of the best deals happen when you get past the first couple of pages. So I find that this is where you find the domains that you're going to be able to get for cheap. Like even just think about on that last page, there was sitefeatures.com was $12. You could probably turn around and sell that again or build a little tool on it for pretty cheap at $12. That's a great domain. And John's adding with Camper Doctor, the blog for a do-it-yourselfer. Yeah, I avoid content domains for the most part because as long as somebody else is providing the content, it's all good. But if I have to provide the content, make sure you're getting a domain name that you're passionate about it. So maybe there's a passion product that you already have. Like my buddy Chaz, he's always working on little electronic gizmos and stuff. So if you have passions, you should set up filters here on expired domains to constantly be watching for domain names with keywords that you're interested in. Main reason, you can tolerate a great domain name or an average domain name if you're passionate about that industry. Now, if you are just looking for a great domain, then realistically, you probably don't want to buy a hobby type domain name, something along the lines of camper doctor. You'd want to avoid that unless you actually are involved in that. Let me see. Professional experience. I've not seen that one. It's a pretty good one. Do people have professional experiences? Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing. Let me check Spyfu real quick. Like it sounds that I think that's almost more of a two words coming together. Nope. See, I appreciate this. Why I always pull up the people what they mention here. Professionalexperience.com, 1,100 searches. No clue what they're referring to. What is professional experience? I have that question myself. Professional experience resume. Let's see if we can get some. What is professional experience? What is professional work experience? I have no idea. I'm going to have to search for this because I have no idea where to even start. Professional yeah, blah, blah, blah. We know what it means. Okay, so one of the things I'd note with this is, yes, it had 1,100 searches, but as you can see, there's nobody paying to advertise here. There's really not much going on. Seems to be mostly in the realm of help wanted ads and things like that. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Matt. It had some good keyword stuff, but I'm just not sure how we would make some money on it. Let's see, are there any advertisers? We didn't see any, but it says there's a couple, but 20 cents. So if you just want traffic, maybe you're running a jobs board, and in that case, if you're running a jobs board, maybe you can do some blog posts on it and just use it as a little bit of a feeder site into your primary site. Well, we are coming up on an hour, and we've not had any home runs, but we definitely did get the chance to talk about the customer journey. We want to meet their baseline expectations. What are they looking for? We need to make sure they have that on the site, whether it's the person registering, whether it's you entering that data in. You got to meet the baseline expectation. Think about what Google does. That's what they do. They meet the baseline expectation. They show a company and put you in touch with them. Now, what can you do to go over and beyond that? Maybe you can do it by location. Maybe you can get more specific into people separating that category. That is how you're going to be better than Google. That's how you're going to be able to build your domain name to where instead of people just saying, oh, Google it, people can start to say, oh, you need to go to localantiques.com for that, or towing.com, and they can start to say your own brand, your own domain name. Screen security, maybe something there with that one. Pretty good domain name, even if it's not so much a development type thing. I mean, lots of little, infused network domains that sound good. New York brokers, way down the list, he says. So that gets into the geolocation. New York. Yeah. I'll just take your word for it and assume that that's actually there and I'm not spelling it right. So let's see what happens when we type in New York. And this will be the last one I'm going to do. I don't know who searches for New York brokers, but just because Drew doesn't know it, it doesn't matter. Somebody out there searches for it, and you don't have to be an expert in it. You just need to own the domain name and provide those who do search for it a way to go from where they are, needing something, needing information, needing to find something, a unique experience, unique product, service, and then get them to the solution, the result, the information, in direct contact with. So New York brokers, people are real estate brokers. That makes sense. New York, it's kind of what I think of as, but I mean, they're stock brokers too. So New York brokers, real estate on the right, investing on the left. And now you're helping anybody searching for New York brokers to find whichever one it is, stocks or real estate. Wait a second. Okay, he saw it. It's for sale on GoDaddy is what he's saying. So it may not be an expired auction. So somebody is selling off their domain name, but I appreciate it. Well, you can be better than Google. We all can be better than Google. In fact, we can be so good we don't need Google. We don't need Big Daddy Google to come in and, solve all of our problems. I don't know. I do know. Google hurts a lot of small businesses. Our little bit of convenience hurts all those small businesses, and they don't even do a good enough job. You can do better. You can beat Google. Take a domain name. Take that premium generic domain name, towing.com, localantiques.com. I wish we had more that we saw this week, newyorkbrokers.com, whatever it is. Take that topic and provide the best damn site you can, one that Google will want to take your data and show it to the world, but then also when the world gets to your domain name, they're like, this is exactly what I wanted to find here. It has everything related to this topic. Start off small, develop that passive income, develop that growth, the trajectory for your life to win the wealth or lifestyle that you're looking to get out of your business. Wish we had better domains for you this week, but we are back here next week. Every single week, we're here Monday, 3 p.m. to look through domain names, look for opportunities, talk about businesses that can be placed on them, and taking domain names, turning them into profit. I'm Drew Walsh. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate y'all. It's always nice to chat with you, hang out with all of you domain developers in the chat. I appreciate y'all. See you next week, 3 p.m. Take care.